They say happiness can't be measured, yet some tiny countries seem to have figured it out. There are corners of the world so small you could cross them in an afternoon, where the air feels softer, the people greet you by name, and stress seems to vanish with the sunset. In these places, no one rushes to be first in line, no one measures success by the size of their paycheck, and yet they rank among the happiest nations on earth. While the rest of the world chases speed, these small nations chase balance. Their governments invest in well-being instead of war, in clean air instead of concrete, and in community instead of competition. According to the World Happiness Report 2024, some of the highest scores for life satisfaction, mental health, and social trust don't come from superpowers like the US or China, but from countries you might miss on a map. So what's their secret? Is it the clean water, the safety, the slower rhythm, or the way neighbors still talk to each other instead of staring at screens? And more importantly, could you actually live there, build a life there, maybe even retire there? Because today we're not just visiting happy countries. We're exploring 5 of the world's smallest nations, where happiness isn't just an idea, it's a daily way of life. Ready? Let's begin the journey. 5. Bhutan, the kingdom of measured happiness high above the clouds. Where the Himalayas kiss the sky, lies a kingdom that has redefined what it means to be happy. Monks in crimson robes walk quietly through mountain paths, their laughter blending with the wind that carries the scent of incense from hilltop monasteries. In Bhutan, progress isn't measured by GDP or stock markets, but by GNH gross national happiness. This small Himalayan kingdom believes that true development begins inside the human heart. Rooted in Buddhist philosophy, Bhutan's vision of happiness is not about pleasure or wealth, it's about compassion and balance. People here believe that when the mind is calm and the community is kind, everything else follows naturally. The government even measures its success using a happiness index, which tracks well-being connection to nature, cultural preservation, and spiritual health. Every decision from education policy to forest management must answer one question. Will this make our people happier? That's why Bhutan remains one of the only carbon-negative nations on Earth covered by over 70% pristine forest. In the capital Thimphu, there are no traffic lights. Just one police officer at the main intersection, calmly waving his white-gloved hands to guide drivers who in turn patiently wait for one another. Somehow it works perfectly. Life here moves slowly. People walk to the market with woven baskets instead of plastic bags. Children wear traditional robes called go and kira to school. Neighbors still share butter tea in the morning, and strangers bow slightly when they greet each other. A small gesture that means I see you and I wish you well. Can you actually move to Bhutan? It's not easy but not impossible. The country guards its culture carefully, allowing limited long-term stays through programs like the Cultural Volunteer Visa or Education Visa, usually valid for 1 to 3 years. Recently, Bhutan has started welcoming foreigners through its sustainable tourism residency, encouraging people to contribute to green farming, teaching, and environmental preservation. It's a chance to live simply, work with purpose, and be surrounded by landscapes that make the soul quiet. And the cost of that peace surprisingly modest. A comfortable life in Bhutan costs around $900 to $1,200 per month. Rent for a small traditional home or apartment averages $300 to $500, and local food rice, red chili vegetables, yak cheese is fresh, organic, and cheap. There are no luxury malls or fast food chains on every corner, but there's something better: genuine contentment. Bhutan teaches you that happiness isn't about having more, it's about needing less. In a world obsessed with numbers and possessions, this tiny mountain kingdom stands as a gentle reminder that the richest people aren't those with the most money. They're the ones who've learned how to breathe deeply, live simply, and smile without reason. 4. Costa Rica. Pura vida in a tiny paradise. The ocean shimmers like liquid glass, palm trees sway in the slow rhythm of the wind, and everywhere you go you hear two words, pura vida. It's more than a greeting. It's a way of life. In Costa Rica, people don't say, "How are you?" They say pura vida, meaning pure life, a simple phrase that captures everything. This small Central American nation stands for peace, gratitude, and joy in the present moment. Costa Rica is one of the few countries in the world that made a radical decision for happiness. It abolished its army in 1949. Instead of spending money on weapons, it poured that budget into education, healthcare, and protecting its rainforests. Today, 99% of the country's electricity comes from renewable energy, wind, hydro, and sun, and over 1/4 of the land is preserved as national parks. That means the air you breathe here smells like rain salt and flowers, not smoke. The results speak for themselves. Costa Ricans live longer than almost anyone else in the Americas, with an average lifespan of about 81 years. Doctors often joke that it's because people here stress less and smile more. They work to live, not live to work. On weekends, families gather for long beach picnics, and strangers easily become friends over a plate of gallo pinto and fresh coconut water. And if you fall in love with this little paradise, moving here is surprisingly easy. Costa Rica's Pensionado Visa welcomes retirees who earn at least $1,000 per month in steady income. That's it. For remote workers and entrepreneurs, the digital nomad visa allows you to stay for a year and renew without hassle. There are thriving expat communities scattered across the country, from surf towns like Tamarindo and Nosara to the cool mountain villages near Atenas or Grecia, where people from the US, Canada, and Europe now call home. Life here flows gently, yet never feels dull. You can rent a small house near the beach for around $800 a month, enjoy local meals for $4 and live comfortably on $1,500 to $2,000 per month. The healthcare system known as Caja Costarricense de Seguro Social covers locals and residents at affordable rates, and private clinics offer world-class care for a fraction of U.S. prices. You can see a doctor for about $30, $50, or have dental work done at 1/5 of what it costs back home. But what truly makes Costa Rica special isn't just affordability or beauty, it's the attitude. The people here don't chase happiness. They live it. You'll find it in the laughter of fishermen by the pier, in the children chasing waves at sunset, and in the old couple holding hands on their evening walk. Because in Costa Rica, happiness isn't a dream to chase, it's a rhythm to live by. Or as the locals would say, pura vida, happiness, as a greeting, a lifestyle, and a promise. 3. Slovenia. Europe's quiet jewel. At dawn, the mist rises over Lake Bled, wrapping the tiny island church in a veil of silence. The bells ring softly across the still water, echoing into pine forests that stretch endlessly toward the Alps. This is Slovenia, a country so peaceful, so pure, that happiness here doesn't announce itself. It simply exists. Tucked between Italy, Austria, and Croatia, Slovenia often escapes the headlines, and perhaps that's what keeps it so serene. Here, people don't rush to be first. They linger over morning coffee, they greet each passerby, and they take pride in the small rituals of daily life. The country consistently ranks among the top in Europe for work-life balance, air purity, and environmental quality. Around 60% of Slovenia is covered in forest, and the water that flows through its taps comes straight from natural alpine springs so clean that locals drink it without filters. Happiness here feels effortless because life itself is gentle. Weekends are for picnics by emerald lakes, cycling through vineyards, or hiking in the Triglav National Park, where the sky seems close enough to touch. Even in the capital, Ljubljana cars are restricted in the historic center. People prefer to walk, bike, or take small electric buses. The air smells of roasted coffee and rain. The rhythm of life is soft, almost musical. For those dreaming of moving to this quiet European gem, the path is surprisingly open. Residency visas are accessible through work permits, self-employment, or the EU Blue Card for skilled professionals. Non-EU residents can even obtain temporary residency by investing or renting property worth more than $20,000, which is remarkably modest compared to Western Europe. The process is transparent, and English is widely spoken, making integration smooth and welcoming. Daily life is refreshingly affordable for such a high-quality environment. You can live comfortably on $1,300, $1,800 per month outside Ljubljana, with rent averaging around $500, $700 for a nice apartment in smaller towns. Healthcare ranks among the top 10 in the EU, with insurance plans costing just $50 or $70 per month. Public hospitals are modern and efficient, and even private clinics feel more personal than clinical, a reflection of how Slovenians value dignity and care over profit. What makes Slovenia truly special is its quiet confidence. There's no need for grandeur or noise. The happiness here whispers through the sound of church bells, the laughter of children feeding ducks at Lake Bohinj, and the shared silence between friends watching a sunset over the Julian Alps. Slovenia proves that happiness doesn't have to shout to be heard. It can whisper softly like the wind over the water. 2. Malta, the sunlit island of calm. From above, Malta looks like a golden stone floating in the middle of the Mediterranean, small, radiant, timeless. The capital Valletta glows under the afternoon sun, its limestone buildings turning honey-colored as locals sip espresso in quiet seaside cafes. The air carries a mix of sea breeze and church bells, and life seems to move at the gentle pace of the waves. This is Malta, one of Europe's tiniest nations, yet one of its most peaceful. With just over 520,000 people, the island feels more like a large village than a country. Everyone seems to know everyone. The baker greets you by name, the neighbor leaves lemons from his garden at your doorstep, and strangers nod politely as they pass on narrow cobblestone streets. Here, safety isn't a luxury, it's a way of life. Part of Malta's happiness comes from its climate. Imagine waking up to sunlight 300 days a year. Winters are mild, summers long but breezy, and the sea never far away. People spend their days outdoors, reading on balconies, swimming before dinner, or joining spontaneous conversations at local markets. Maybe that's why Maltese people live longer than most Europeans. They've mastered the art of slowing down without ever feeling lazy. Moving here isn't just a dream, it's entirely possible. Through the Malta Permanent Residency Program, MPRP, anyone with a stable annual income of around $15,000 or the means to rent or buy property starting from $275,000 can apply for long-term residency. English is an official language alongside Maltese, so integration is effortless. Most newcomers find that within months, they're already chatting comfortably with locals invited to Sunday feasts, or joining neighbors for evening walks along the promenade. Living costs are moderate compared to Western Europe. A cozy apartment by the sea rents for around $801, $200 per month. A good meal out costs about $12, and a total monthly budget of $1,800, $200 ensures a comfortable, sun-soaked life. Healthcare is strong, the air is clean, and the pace of life encourages you to breathe deeper, to live, not rush. Malta's magic lies in its simplicity. The island teaches that happiness doesn't come from endless striving, but from appreciating the everyday, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the laughter shared over coffee, the calm that comes when you finally stop running. Malta reminds us that peace and sunshine are worth more than money, and sometimes that's all the wealth you'll ever need. 1. Iceland, the land of gentle strength. Under the northern sky, ribbons of green and violet light dance above fields of ice and lava. Steam rises from natural hot springs where people soak in silence, their faces calm as snowflakes fall around them. This is Iceland, a land where fire meets ice and where happiness has learned to survive even in the harshest cold. Despite its isolation and long winters, Iceland consistently ranks top 3 in the World Happiness Report 2024. But the secret of this happiness isn't wealth or weather, it's trust. Here, corruption is almost non-existent. Politicians walk freely through the streets without bodyguards. Lost wallets are returned to their owners. A child can walk to school alone through the snow, and no one worries. In a world where fear often rules, Iceland has built a society based on quiet confidence and care. Equality runs deep in the Icelandic soul. This is one of the most gender-equal countries on earth. Women hold leadership roles, fathers take long parental leaves, and respect between people is not a slogan, but a habit. Community is everything. Neighbors clear each other's driveways after a snowstorm. During dark winter months, families gather to share stories, music, and soup by candlelight. Happiness here isn't loud, it's shared, steady, and strong. For those who dream of living here, Iceland welcomes outsiders but with intention. Non-EU citizens can apply for work or residency permits, or come as students to experience life under the auroras. Many expats arrive through tech, renewable energy, or seasonal agricultural programs helping with greenhouses that bloom even in January. It's a society that values contribution over consumption. If you add something meaningful, you belong. Yes, life here comes with a higher price tag, $2,200 to $2,800 per month for a modest lifestyle. But what you get in return is priceless. Complete safety, world-class healthcare that's free for residents, and a sense of calm that modern life rarely allows. Even the air feels different, crisp, clean, and alive. At night, as the northern lights ripple across the frozen horizon, Iceland reminds you that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's the quiet endurance of people who've learned to live gently, to warm their hearts, even when the world around them is frozen. Iceland proves that happiness can survive even in the coldest places, because warmth, after all, comes from within. Maybe happiness isn't about where you are, it's about how your surroundings let you breathe. From the stillness of Bhutan's mountains, to the golden calm of Malta's shores, from the forested heart of Slovenia, to the frozen glow of Iceland, these small nations whisper the same truth, sometimes less truly is more. They remind us that joy doesn't need skyscrapers or traffic or 1,000 choices. It lives in the spaces between. In the quiet mornings, the smell of fresh bread, the sound of a neighbor's laughter, the peace of walking home under the evening light. These are the places where people still have time to live, not just to survive. Maybe the real luxury today isn't wealth, but simplicity. Not the noise of achievement, but the calm of contentment. And maybe happiness has never been something to chase, only something to notice in the life you're already creating. So tell me, which of these countries would you move to for a simpler, happier life? Leave your dream destination in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more journeys through the world's most inspiring places, places that prove happiness isn't a destination, but a way of being.